Hello, good people of the internet. My name is Coaldst, and in this series, if I have the time to flesh it out, we'll detail my change from an introvert to an extrovert. In essence, going from a beta cuck to a motherfucking Chad. I have had plenty of stories I can tell from my life, and hopefully some of you can relate, or at least laugh at some of the cringe. It's not as bad as kids doing Fortnite dances in public, but it gets pretty close at times. Anyway, let's get right into the past. Get me already. To set the stage of disappointment, I was born in New Jersey. The one state with Jersey Shore. I'm sure you know the one. Bad acting, greased up haired guys with fake as fuck women set on the Jersey Shore. I was born there, but I didn't stay there long. My parents are teachers, and for them to find a good stable job, we had to move. Like, a lot. We were there for all of, I think, 6 months, so naturally, I contracted some of the idiocy from it, but I never went full Jerseyan, like that one episode of South Park. Fast forward a few years, we end up living in Texas. Now, I don't remember much about it, but there are some situations I put myself in there that'll be good for another video. But to paint a picture, I think my most vivid memory of it was when my family took me out to eat at Longhorn Steakhouse. The evening was beautiful, the tall grass everywhere, golden as the sun, with purple wildflowers littering the dehydrated plain. I'm not really sure why this stood out to me. We were just waiting on a table. I don't even remember where the steakhouse was or the meal I had. Probably because I only ate chicken tendies and some mac and cheese. I was a kid. But I think that was so nice to remember. At that point in my life, I thought any woman that wasn't my mom or my sister was pretty. Anyway, while there, I picked up Yu-Gi-Oh! As a pastime. My parents gave me a choice between either that or Pokemon. I mean, both were really popular at the time, but they only allowed me to choose one. I asked why years later. They said it was because it would have gotten expensive really fast if I had gotten cards from both. But so what? If I somehow got a Blue Eyes by chance, which I did, I would probably have the same luck to get a shiny Charizard. Those cards sell for a lot now. It was the perfect investment strategy. That is the art of the deal. But whatever, you know. Anyway, moving on. You know, you could get it. Moving on, because it's a big selling point for this. Get it? See you, one viewer. Well, a few years later, we stopped in Maryland for a little while. This is where my morning cartoons, as well as Yu-Gi-Oh! Kicked into overdrive. There weren't as many people to play with, but I had a friend that I'd play competitively against all the time. And then after that, we'd go play Kirby Air Ride after we got bored of playing a children's card game. Shout out to Little Karibo. Woo! And then enter my love for Nintendo. I had no idea what I was doing in Kirby Air Ride, but it was just fun going around the little play area. Fast as fuck, boy! 2 Keemstar references in one video. You know what that means. I'm gay, a view whore. Around this time, soon there was an obsession with Naruto. I had just started watching Toonami, which was like the big kid hours. It was the coolest thing to me. I'd watch every Saturday because my parents upped my bedtime from 8 to 9. I know, crazy, right? It's like the coolest thing ever to have. Then fast forward a few years, we landed in California. Now, I still consider this place to be like the most fond memories I have. It was the most fun for me to live in. When I lived there, I made a lot of new friends. that were into a lot of the same things I was. And they introduced me to a bunch of new things. I got into Star Wars because of them, and I loved it so much that I extended back to my friends 3 times. I do kind of cringe though when I think about it, since all I did was talk to him about it. In class, we had seating groups. We named ourselves the Troopers after the the Stormtroopers. Yeah, it's definitely the Stormtroopers. We weren't the coolest kids, but we got along with all the other cliques in that lower school. It was a bliss because essentially we never got in any trouble. We always made new friends. And we had a close-knit group. And not to brag or anything, but I was definitely the leader of that group. It's pretty cool. We were some big-ass nerds, though. But I can't say I've never had more fun than that. Along with that, I started playing competitive soccer. I wasn't that good at the time, but I could run fast and run for days. As in fast as fuck. Boy. Some more dead-ass memes. I also remember the start of my edgy phase around this time, too. My dad had introduced me to people like Green Day, Blink-182, and Sum 41. Those may not be names that you know, but they are all near and dear to my heart, even to this day. I guess I never really kicked the edge, but anyway, to go back in time, we were really getting into playing games like Kirby and Smash Bros. And Kirby was so cool with his suck, 2 C's, power, that could make him into anything. It was some of the stupidest things I've ever drew in my life. Imagine that Kirby inhaled a Marowak from Pokemon. That was my crowning achievement for the longest time. Maybe not the longest, but at least a year or 2. That was my OC. I was doing it before Sonic fans started posting their sometimes disturbing OCs on the internet. I even drew all over my folders for my various classes, making some epic battles all over them with characters from whatever I could think of, or at least bad representations of them, in a battle royale. Either that or stick figures going pew, pew. I was creative, outspoken, and popular when I was in California. But I quickly lost all of that when I moved to Florida a few years later. It was probably the biggest point of culture shock for me I've had even to this day. No one shared the same hobbies I had. They were all rich while I was pretty much a filthy peasant to them. And the biggest sport around was lacrosse. Like, how in the hell did lacrosse become so popular in the South? I'm too lazy to look it up, but it was really different for me. My whole social environment had changed in an instant. I couldn't connect with anyone until we started doing mandatory sports. If I wasn't athletic at all, like many people, some of my friends, then I'd probably never made it through this part of my life. At least socially, it's not that dark. It was probably the only thing that made me at least kind of popular. Nowhere near where I was before, though. I tried to convince my friends to join me in my hobbies, but they normally laughed at me or said some other time, which normally meant, nah. The other thing I was good at was art, but there was someone in my class that already covered our invisible quota of creativity because she could draw cartoons like 1,000 times better than me. Me, on the other hand, I was a perfectionist when it came to art. I was one of those kids that had a coloring book that had to have like 128 crayons because every color had to match with its real-world counterpart. I never went outside those goddamn lines. And if I did, that page was ruined until the end of time. Now, because of this, I didn't fit in. I started acting out in strange ways when I could steal a spotlight. Some of that stuff was so goddamn cringy and lowbrow that I'm embarrassed to think about a lot of these points. But, if I wasn't the center of attention, I'd probably seclude myself. I'd play video games, maybe watch anime, like Naruto at the time. I was so far from the most popular for sure. But I wasn't near the bottom either. Some people got smacked with insults and bullying all the time. Well, I'm sure people talk behind my back. I mean, it's middle school. Who didn't? I talked shit to my parents about my classmates all the time because I couldn't make friends outside of school too well. It wasn't as bad as getting hit in the face daily with insults. I was like the guy eating cereal a row or two away from the guy eating beans at Cars 2. It was like that. Katerina, Vic, and Emily, thanks for eating those beans. Signed, some dumbass looking for some views. Anyway, my biggest outlet were the video games I played. I started playing a lot. Maple Story was a huge game that my friends in Cali played, but I hadn't since then, since my computer wasn't good enough to handle it when I was in California. And it fed into my weebness harder because it was anime style. Ugh, but it looks so nice. I still like to play it every once in a while because I am weeb trash. But I made a few friends on there. Nothing that big, but it was fun. It was my gateway game to online games. If anyone remembers OG Planet, let me hear ya.
Ooh, yeah.
Thank you. You're too kind. Really, you probably had no reason to click on this video, but you did. Anyway, I'll continue from here next video. I have plenty of stories from my online gaming days. They haven't stopped yet, but back then, things were a lot stupider, and they were a lot simpler than they are now. I'll see whoever decides to click on the second one next time. Have a great morning, afternoon, or night. Peace out.
Hey man, you forgot to tell people that they need to like and subscribe.